Well, good evening, everyone. It is Dr. Ellithorpe here with Ask the Doctor Anything, Tustin Longevity Center here in Southern California, Tustin, California. And we are here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m., where you can email in your questions. We have several today. You can get onto our tlcdoctors.com and get onto our newsletter. And on the newsletter, you can get a link and you can type in your questions. That's how you can get it to me this way. The other thing is, if you're on YouTube, you can type in your questions live. We will say hello to the chat. Hello, TLC Health Freedom Tribe. And you can type in a question there. If I see live, as we get live people, then I will go ahead and go forward and answer them first. Last Tuesday, I wasn't here. I was at a meeting, and so I missed last Tuesday. Maybe that's why there's so many emails. I do want to not forget to bring up asking you to contact your congressmen and senators and ask them to consider protecting our health freedoms. The World Health Organization amendments to the International Pandemic Health Treaty is a risk where member parties of the United Nations and the World Health Organization would be held to obey the dictates of a central governing organization worldwide, government control, central government control through the World Health Organization. The accountability would be not there. They don't have to prove a pandemic. They can just issue a health pandemic warning and then start locking down people, nations, and travel and commerce. So if that's something you're in favor of, then just don't do anything. They're going to vote on that in about 3 weeks. So the more we call and let them know what our personal feelings are, I told them my personal feelings. And of course, I asked my congressmen and my senators here in California to get us out of the World Health Organization. I let the speaker, Mike Johnson's office, know that he needs to get us out of the World Health Organization so that we don't have centralized government control of a world entity that is not beholden and doesn't follow our constitutional liberties. So I just want to remind you the phone number is 202-224-3121. That's 224-3121, area code 202. And if you want to call the Senate, it's the same 202-224, 202-225-3121. So you just change the one middle interchange number, 202-225-3121, and you'll get the switchboard. It's the capital. They'll say Capital Switchboard, how can I help you? And then you just say, please connect me with my congressman, and give the name, and they'll connect you. Usually you'll get a phone message, or sometimes their staff will answer. Rarely does the congressman or senator ever answer. I've never had the senator answer personally. Once in a while, the congressman will. And then you can leave your polite message and your feelings about the World Health Organization and giving up our national liberties to a central world government authority. And we wouldn't be able to have our health freedoms if we don't do that. Now, if you like what we're doing here, our questions, ask the doctor anything. We are not doing any individual recommendations for healthcare, but we're giving generalized ways I would approach when I see a medical complaint or an issue. I start thinking about how I would respond to that. And so I will give that to you with 43 years of practicing medicine. And that in the entirety really is military with the general practice seeing all kinds, ER medicine, flight medicine. I then also have had since my childhood my dad in food research. So I have always been a advocate for personal responsibility for everything and your healthcare and natural medicine all the way throughout all the years. So, with that background of information about me and how you can get a hold of us, we will begin here. We'll start with the first question. And again, if you like this, please press the like button, and please subscribe. And that helps us with supporting the family, our friends, and maybe they can have some questions answered too. So Margaret starts out with a question, and I've been at work all day. You can see I'm in my workout clothes because when I'm done here, then I go over on Tuesday nights to do my weightlifting in the gym with my husband. So I'm in my gym clothes right now, and I've worked all day. But they bring me these questions, so I don't have time to go over them. So everything I do here is cold turkey. So Margaret has the question. I have a two-part question. I hope that is permitted. Of course, Margaret. What do you recommend for chronic constipation? The straining has caused my vagina to prolapse. My gynecologist said it's about quality of life. She said there are two types of surgery, with a mesh or without a mesh. She suggested pelvic floor physical therapy for constipation. Do you have ideas about both issues? There are many, many things that I recommend to patients with chronic constipation in women. I presume, Margaret, you're postmenopausal, um, but you may not be. But typically, pelvic floor prolapse occurs in women over time with age and childbirth. And the constipation, we typically don't drink enough water. This is our number one healthcare provider, is to have water. And I like to make it fun by putting straws in there. I have a game where I have to drink a little over 2 liters every day, so that I'm drinking half my weight in pounds as ounces every day. And I try and hit that number every single day. I make games with myself because being well hydrated is one very important aspect of having healthy bowel movements. Also, having exercise, having some form of both aerobic, some walking or stationary bicycling, and calisthenics, like doing sit ups or doing weight resistance training where you're pulling against the weights to crunch down on your abdomen, doing crunches. Abdominal crunches are important. Water is important. Mineral replenishment is very important. I always give my patients with constipation Albion mineral chelated amino acid chelated minerals, and I give them three. Our product is designed as TLC multimin, and I'll usually say 3 to 6 a day. And you can take them all at once, or you can take them two with each meal, or you can take them, 3 and 3. But to get a good dose of a nice swath of multiminerals, because those are the template for electrochemical activities to occur on. It's a cofactor for making uh, uh, various things in your body, amino acids, fatty acids, and restoration of your biome replenishment. And your tissues, they have to have minerals. So it's an electrochemical importance for those energy of peristalsis down your bowel. The next thing I would say, natural hormone replacement therapy. I don't know if you recall, but when you menstruate or when you were younger, when we have enough estradiol in us, usually our bowel movements get softer and looser every menstrual cycle. So that during the time of our menses, it seems like we can have looser stools. So hormone replacement therapy would also help with the tissue of the vaginal area and the pelvic floor. So if we don't have hormones, then the vaginal canal gets thin like paper, like this, like a piece of paper. There's very little thickness here to it. But if you have hormones, the vaginal canal is thicker. And so the columnar and squamous cells get thicker, more robust, and there's more support structure for the vagina. A pessary, I don't know if your gynecologist has brought to you the concept of a pessary. Uh, that is where it's like a ring that you bend. So the circle you would bend, and then you would just insert it intravaginally, and then it will pop into a ring. And then the cervix area would sit in that ring. Uh, and it will help with passing bowel movements during your strain of Valsalva pressure. Systemic enzymes are very helpful to be anti-inflammatory and to help with digestion, digestive enzymes. So there's two kinds of enzymes. And we look at that scenario very often. If I see a patient and to give natural hormones, to give the enzymes, both digestive and systemic. Digestive you take with meals, systemic you take on an empty stomach. And this helps with minerals, with peristalsis, enzymes with disinflaming things, the hormones with the lining of the vaginal canal and support the pelvis. There is a physical therapy organization called Womanology. Womanology is female specialist pelvic floor care. The exercise, including the sit-ups, the water, half your weight as pounds, as ounces every single day, not eating late and keeping a routine. Then we can talk about exotic things like herbs and laxatives that are natural, liquid drinking your vitamin C. We have a powdered vitamin C called Vitality C. A scoop gives you 4 grams that will loosen your stools and help you pass it. We have the magnesium as a powder. We often mix with the vitamin C powder called OptiMag Neuro powder, and we mix that together. And that helps move the bowels and gives you minerals. So there's many things you can do. So hopefully you can find a good functional doctor. If necessary, we could do a complete digestive stool analysis and look and see if there's any issues with your digestion holding you up, inflammation markers, imbalanced bacteria, undigested foods and stuff. So that's how we would begin that, Margaret. Nick says, hi, doctor. I have intolerances to certain oils, olive, soy, dairy, gluten, to name a few. These cause a butterfly rash on my face, and it seems to somewhat persist even if I avoid them. I am doing a low-carb diet, eating in a 6-hour window and not eating after 6 p.m., which is helping. Is there anything else you recommend I do? Well, Nick, if you were seeing me as a doctor, when patients present that kind of story to me, I do want a complete digestive stool analysis with an immunofood lab IgG antibody assay, and I want the IgE antibody assay to foods. I use Immuno out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, because they're the best and the oldest and the most traditional and stable, reliable. IgE can be done at any LabCorp or Quest or place like that. And then I want to get your blood type and find out if you need digestive enzymes. Very often, blood type A people don't digest well. And then they get this damage to their lining. See this picture here where there's a hole in the cell membrane? And then these foods create irritations through the one cell membrane. You're supposed to repair it at night like this when you go to sleep. It's made of a double layer of phospholipids, and these little round balls are protein receptors. You have to eat enough healthy proteins, meat, fish, chicken, egg yolks, and the eggs and the things like that. So you would be a type of case where I think this is food allergies mitigated by time, slow damage, and creating lots of these little irritations here. and having the IgG antibodies create flare, then that creates a vasculitis, not only in the skin you can see on your face, the butterfly rash, but it's a vasculitis everywhere. So I would do systemic workup for vascular inflammation as well. But that's how I would begin doing it. The most healing diet that you could possibly do is a carnivore diet for 3 months. Pure carnivore, no cheating at all. And likely you would need digestive enzymes even if you aren't a blood type A. So that's what I would recommend. Nick says, hi, doctor. I guess this is the duplicate. Yeah, that's a duplicate. We covered that one. Christina, hi, Dr. Rita. My 4-year-old was playing in the woods at my parents' house. Shortly after, his whole torso became red, part of his arms, legs, and feet. His doctor thinks an allergic reaction to something. He ended up getting welts, and the next day too. He's better today. Should I give him anything besides vitamins? Any tips if this happens again? Thank you. Christina, I would have your doctor see the child. I don't like rashes that are incidental to bites or something they touched. And it could be too many different things. So I would ask you to see your pediatrician with your child and have them take a look at that. Find out your child's blood type. Why? Because blood types do matter. B type bloods have more allergies in general. They seem to have a more alert immune system. A type blood tends to have the poor digestion, and so certain foods can be a challenge to digestion, and the immune system drops. So little things can easily trigger an immune reaction in these children. Of course, the diet, all these processed foods for all of us, especially the children, have your children eat whole, real foods, not processed packaged foods, because there's all sorts of chemicals that they're being exposed to. The lungs need to be listened to. The child has to be evaluated by a physician when you say the entire trunk has something. This should be noted, documented. So if there's patterns, your local doctor can decide whether this should be worked up or whether this was an isolated incident. Yasmin says, hi, Dr. E. I recently started taking methyl B complex and wondered if oral was the best way or if there's an IV that may have better absorption. Thank you for sharing all your knowledge. Well, thank you, Yasmin. Well, we have the immune drip, and we use methyl B in our IVs right into the vein. So we'll put that right into your vein for an hour. It's tremendous. I use these from time to time. I'm sure it has kept me healthy all this time, all these years working every day without a vacation or break. So I would suggest to you that you're welcome to see a doctor who does intravenous methylated B in their intravenous forms. We do here. I don't know if you're in the local area, you could see us. But you have to be careful, I think, about some of these hydration centers because they may say they have methyl blue, but they're using cyanocobalamin, which is the cheapest form. And the next would be adenosine cobalamin. And then we want the methylcobalamin, which is the methyl type. Now, oral is very fine. I have watched that for years with the methylated B complex, and I've seen great results. So I think absorption is very good with the oral. I do want to say Juice Plus as a class, it's whole food. It's not a supplement. It's a whole food. Juice Plus has been studied even by the Journal of Cardiology regarding the homocysteine, which is very dependent on methylated B complex, methotetrahydrofolate, or SNPs, where you may not have that sufficient. And then if you don't have it, you can't methylate well. And then your homocysteine waste builds up. And we find it by checking your homocysteine in a routine blood. So Juice Plus has been studied, published in the Journal of American Heart Association, American Journal of Cardiology, and it really is a wonderful product, a whole food concentrate that has methyl B in it as well, because it's whole food. Hopefully that helps you, Yasmin. Sherry asked the question, what do you think about the energy lounger that has red infrared light therapy that are showing up at gyms and spas now? Is it good for our bodies? If yes, how often should we use them? Water time. Well, I'm in favor of them. Infrared, it has a certain wavelength that has an ability to penetrate to, about almost maybe 2 centimeters into the body. That wave then creates heat. That heat then will have a vasodilation, so your capillaries will dilate, your blood flow will be enhanced, and all the wonderful nutrient delivery, waste removal will be enhanced. So it's very valuable. How often would I do that? Well, if you do, it's on the same principle of doing like the Finnish saunas, where you go in, you put the water on the rocks, and you sit there in the humidity. Saunas are good for that, infrared saunas. And the studies in Finland and the Scandinavian countries have established over many, many years, decades, that people who do 3 or 4 times a week saunas for about 30 minutes really have less reduced mortality and morbidities of all kinds, especially cardiovascular diseases. It is considered a type of replacement therapy, you might say, for cardiovascular workouts, because it increases the circulation. Your heart rate does go up. So I would presume, I don't know of a study per se on these infrared beds you lay in. I'm sure there are, but I just haven't seen one I can think of offhand. I do know with the Finnish heat studies, spas, and that 3 or 4 times, especially 4 times a week, that there are indeed benefits at about 30 minutes. There is a YouTube podcaster called Rhonda Patrick. So Rhonda, Rhonda, Patrick, Patrick, PhD. And she has she's on YouTube, and you could put Rhonda Patrick, PhD, infrared. And so she writes about this a lot. The Gwendolyn has the question, hi, Dr. Rita, what is your recommendation for bad menstrual cramps? I'm taking Reacted Magnesium, and I'm going to start taking TLC's progesterone cream, 200 milligram per ml, for the latter half of my cycle. Even on elimination diet for 5 weeks now, my cramps have still been unbearable without ibuprofen. Well, I would also make sure you're drinking enough water. I would make sure you're taking, 500 to 1,000 milligrams of magnesium. I would take systemic enzymes when you start using the progesterone. So a systemic enzyme reduces inflammation. A menstrual cycle is an inflammatory time where the lining of the uterus ages, and you start dropping the lining off. These are partial fragmented dead cells. The fragments of these dead cells, these little particles here, are picked up in the blood, and it will trigger contractions. And so drinking enough water, taking the little Pac-Man enzymes that will chew this stuff up, like Vitalzyme or Vascuzyme, I would take 4 twice a day when you start your progesterone cream, and you should see the difference. Exercise, stay active, be low carb, and be on a even elimination diet, and that should make a difference, Gwendolyn. Okay, we're getting some live questions, so let me go there. On the live questions, Carolyn asks, what causes a black floater in the eye? I have heard you talk about them. What causes them, and do they ever go away on their own? And then she goes on to say, what can you do to get rid of them? These are burnt, oxidized, cooked up proteins in the fluid of the eyeball. Okay, so in the eyeball, there's fluid in there, the vitreous humor it's called, and that has proteins in it. And if you don't drink enough water, if you smoke, if you don't exercise and get the pumping circulation, if you eat a high, sticky, gooey, gummy, sticky carbohydrate, starch, sugar, fruit sugar, high fructose corn syrup diet, if you don't get enough sleep, you're stressed. Uh, as you age, your enzymes to chew up all this little junk stuff. So, like I was saying, these little things chewing them up right there. Um, and your cell membranes start breaking up because you don't eat enough healthy fats and proteins to keep the membrane nice and healthy in your eye, then what happens is you start getting these little tiny fragments of breakdown that attract an immune response and coagulate these little proteins, and then they float in your eye like a little fly in the ointment. When I had one in my life, and I live a very extremely stressful life, and praise the Lord, I'm so glad that I'm busy so that I can be very busy until the day He takes me home. But the stress aggravates it. So I think I was probably not drinking enough water at that time. I may have fallen off my enzymes. Um, I may have not exercised enough. That was about the first year into the alleged pandemic. And since all the other doctors shut their door and everyone was begging me to work, 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 I added 6 days a week, and I never stopped working 6 days a week so that I could take on all these people because the other doctors were afraid to see them and touch them and see them physically. At that time, I awoke one morning with this like line in my eye, and it was most annoying and bothersome. But I immediately fasted for 5 days. I stopped eating all food for 5 days, and I just drank water, water, water. I kept on working. I didn't take a day off. I didn't stop exercising. And I upped my enzymes, my vital zyme, from 5 once a day to 5 twice a day on an empty stomach. So, first thing in the morning, last thing at night. And within those 5 days, I would say about maybe 70, 80% of that floater in my eye went away. I kept that up after I started eating more of a carnivore like diet, kept diligent with everything else. I did my EDTA chelation IVs to improve the circulation. And then I would say 90, 95% of it all went away. So from that one episode, I am extremely careful, and nothing like that has recurred again now in years. I don't have any joint pain. I don't have any stiffness, and I'm so very, very, very grateful. But now that I'm in my 70s, I have to work at it, meaning I have to look at that water every day and say, you will wind up being inside of me 2.5 liters. I look at those vitamins every day and I say, you will get down my throat no matter how much I don't like you. I say to the diet, you will only eat in a 4 hour window, and you will eat basically a carnivore diet with maybe occasional cooked vegetables. And that's the way my life has to go. And that chelation I do. So this is what I do. And this is how that worked out for me. Carolyn, and hopefully that can bless you. Find a doctor who does chelation therapy, use systemic enzymes, try and do a water fast. I saw my eye doctor and had it checked, and he was amazed that I don't have any cataracts or movement in that direction. So I praise God for EDTA chelations with a vitamin C. I praise God for systemic enzymes and for water and for the carnivore diet and exercise and doing weightlifting and training. So Jackie says, hello, Dr. Rita. Thanks for all you do. Well, that's God. My B12 was drawn 4 days after having a vitamin infusion, which had many B vitamins and biotin. The level was 2,692. That's fine. It's water soluble. There's nothing wrong with that at all, Jackie. Very high. Would it take that long to eliminate? Well, are you taking any supplemental TLC methyl B complex or other multivitamin minerals? But there's nothing wrong with water soluble B vitamins, B12 in you. And I often see patients in the 2000s, some 3000. So I wouldn't worry about it, Jackie, at all. Hi, Robert Pinsky. It's been a while. How are you doing? Let's see. Dr. Meric has put me on 20 microgram per gram of testosterone, progesterone, and Chrysin, and I feel much better. I'm concerned about my estradiol elevating up. Last time I tried hormones, it went up to over 100. I have benign prostatic hypertrophy, and I'm concerned about making it worse with elevated estradiol. Also, doesn't taking hormones turn off the body's production? Would it come back if I stopped? Why did the doctor start selling? Oh, or this is a joke. Why did the doctor start selling vitamins? To make a supplemental income? Yes, yes. Well, the reason why we have to do that is the food that is not food anymore. It's frankenfood. It's processed food. It's hydrogenated food. It is genetically modified food. It is glyphosated. It has so many plant lectins, phytins, oxalates, tannins. It is so repetitious. It is so high in starch and carbs. We are eating death processed foods, which are so nutrient deficient compared to old farming and the original research on what's her name? Corinne Netter's Encyclopedia of Food Values. This was my dad's back years ago in food research. So an apple or a banana or a steak, when they would look at the food values, the nutrient levels were well established. They were all about vitamins in the 20s and the 30s. And so we went ahead and looked at those levels. And now, if you look at them, maybe it's 50% reduced. So this industrialized farming is destroying the food mineral nutrient content. And so we are in a nutrient deficient, polluted food process system. So unfortunately, even the healthcare system has become corrupted with games and marketing. It'll say almost anything short of having legal challenges. So we have to look at these supplements. We have to go to the places. My son and I fly out to various plants. I look at the logs for the collection and sourcing of their materials and their assays. And you have to go and check these out. And once you find good, reliable producers that realize your patient's health and outcome depends on a quality nutrient that what the label says is in there. That's one reason why I use Juice Plus. That's one reason why I use orthomolecular products. I have been to these places and looked at them, and so they are reliable, and we do have to use them. But now back to your question. Yes, if you stop them, your hormones will come back. That's the general rule. We can block estradiol aromatase inhibitors like diindolylmethane. I use anastrozole in the men, and that blocks estrogen immediately. It'll shut it down immediately, and that'll stop stimulate the prostate. The other thing is I tell the men not to drink, and the women, no alcohol. Really, that is way a stimulator for breast and prostate tissues and a hormone estrogen mimicker. So avoid alcohol, avoid high carbs, get on anastrozole to block the estradiol, and then follow up and let us know how things are going, or let Dr. Meric, your doctor, know how things are going. And hopefully that's helpful to you. All right, let's see. We have now page 2 of this, and here is the next question from Gwendolyn. She has a couple regarding the carnivore diet. What would your advice be to someone who has been on the carnivore diet and both of their cholesterol levels are way out of the normal range as a result? I would say, I don't care. I would say, what are your triglyceride levels and what are your HDL levels? If your triglyceride levels are not higher than your HDL is really exercise. Triglycerides come from carbs, so your triglycerides should be very low. I do not care really what your total cholesterol or LDL is, unless there's a very unique medical history in the patient, which I doubt that you have, Gwendolyn. There's a wonderful YouTube by Dr. Ken Berry, Berry, and Dr. David Diamond, PhD. And the name of the YouTube is called High Cholesterol is Healthy. Please watch that, and you'll see why the total cholesterol and LDL, they have foolishly made this an issue. So they're wrong. We're right. Praise the Lord. She goes on to say another carnivore diet question. Can carnivore diets either cause cancer? Oh my God, no. Or heal cancer patients? They heal them. And that's through the action of cancer cells don't have normal metabolism. So their mitochondria cannot use the glucose and fatty acids for generating ATP. You get about 36 ATP units per molecule of glucose or a fatty acid. And then they can't do that anymore. So what happens is they go into facultative fermentation and anaerobic, like wine and beer and whiskey production, fermentation. And you need a lot of grains and sugar and starch to feed them because they only get 2 to 4 ATP molecules, and so they have to eat a lot of sugar. So when you deny yourself all plant starch, fruit sugars on a carnivore diet, you starve the engines of every cancer cell, and they're so much easier to kill off with chemotherapy and surgery and radiation and so forth. Oftentimes, I have heard of cancer patients going vegan. Well, a part of that history, and I've been around this actively practicing medicine 43 years, and the reason is the diet is so lousy. When they go vegan, they are actively working to get organic vegetables that are richer on small farms, typically, that have more nutrients, and so they will see some benefit. But unfortunately, it's at the price with juicing of all the sugar that's in these healthy plants. So if you have cancer, I think you have to go carnivore. And then if you say a piece of meat to a same ounces of a vegetable or fruit, you would have to say there's far more nutrient and cell membrane, tissue organ value, nutrient density in a piece of meat or liver or chicken or fish compared to any equal weight of a vegetable. It's just facts, folks, just facts. There are no requirements for carbohydrates, zero, nothing, nada. The only essential things you have to have are fats and proteins and then nutrients, and they're chock full in a carnivore meat diet. Jenna says, what is the best way to lower my fasting blood sugar levels? Be a carnivore. I am almost 57. I take 4 TLC metabolic capsules, and that's got berberine in it. It's got lipoic acid in it. These are things that are well known to help with the assistance of getting that sugar molecule burnt through or chewed up into the mitochondria and turned into energy, as long as you don't keep on eating it this way. So you have a net burn. You also take bioidentical estrogen and progesterone. I have a stressful job, high cortisol. Cortisol will block weight loss. Um, do walk most days for 30 or more minutes. Need to do more cardio, hit workout. I would do weightlifting. I would build up your muscle bulk because your muscles are an engine mass to burn sugars. Fasting levels have been 130, 150 the last few weeks. Any suggestions? Do weight training 3 times a week for 30, 40 minutes. I mean, serious weight lifting in the gym, pushing the metal around. That's what I'm going to do here in just 25 minutes. And then I would keep your walk up. I would go carnivore. I would stay on your TLC metabolic health, and I would drink half your weight in ounces of water. I would get a good night's sleep. I would take my vitamin D, my iodine, my multi-mineral, TLC multi-mineral to help with all the burning of this stuff. And I would probably be on Juice Plus, and I would take the enzymes to disinflame your body, and I would take DHEA to help your stress and adrenal glands. So that's what I do, and I think that's how I handle all my stress here. Is I take DHEA 50 milligrams, so my testosterone is for a woman like about 170, and that's very, very good for a woman. What else would I say for weight loss? I want to point out, and to the other lady, I think it was Margaret. Anyway, we are, the girl with the eye floater, we are all roasting at 98.6 degrees. You've got to realize we are cooking every day. And the more you baste yourself with water, the slower the cook will be, the longer your eyes and your joints and your cartilage and your lining of your blood vessels will be. And the less you eat and trigger these little inflammatory molecules, cytokines from whatever, be it a food reaction, developing a food intolerance, this will help you getting those sugars down so you don't have them sticking to your proteins, to your making you advanced glycosylation age products. That this is just well known. Okay, Gwendolyn goes on to say, you mentioned you don't use any seed oils, including olive, coconut, and avocado, which are usually praised as very healthy by the health community. Can you explain why? Thank you. Yes, because I don't need them. So they're mono unsaturated fatty acids. There's no human need for them. Zero, nada, nothing. But we need cholesterol, and we need linoleic and alpha-linolenic acid, and that is eating a egg yolk, that is eating meat, that is eating your chicken with the skin on it, your pork, your fish, your eggs and egg yolks. And I cook with butter or lard, period, total. Nothing else is necessary. Now, am I saying it's going to harm you? I think all things in moderation. If you're going to have a salad, I would use olive oil and vinegar, but I don't eat salads. I rarely eat vegetables at all. So, but if I had a salad, I would have olive oil and vinegar. And you don't need the stuff. You have to understand, I brought up an article last week or the week before called the unadulterated linoleic acid, omega-6. Research is so bought off and sold just like a pimp house, in the deep inner city area of a city. You can buy medicine. And so the food industries buy off scientists, and they buy off the results. If you're going to have someone say, oh, linoleic acid omega-6 is too bad, and the ratio 20 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3 1 is a horrible ratio. Well, you want to know something? their scientists didn't control for all the hydrogenated linoleic acid in the processed foods that's everywhere in the store you go to, every restaurant you go to. And until they control for that, their science is crap. So good researchers, real biochemists and chemists and food research scientists know that linoleic omega-6 is one of the 2 essential fatty acids. And I won't talk to anyone about this because if they don't understand it, they don't know their chemistry. And if they don't know their chemistry, it's impossible to talk with them or have people be healthy. So that's that fact. All right, what's the next one here? Josie, do you recommend colloidal silver soaps for shower? Sure, why not? Because it does kill fungus on the skin and on the toes and under your arms and your pits. So yeah, why not? But I use Selsun Blue. That I don't shower often, but when I do, I use a goodly amount of Selsun Blue and I lather it into my hair and I let it sit on my body and get it all in I have my toe brush and toenail brush. So I don't have any toe fungus and I don't have any of these kind of things of old age and thick toenails and stuff. Because selenium, the 1% in Selsun Blue, it'll kill that tinea versicolor fungus on the skin. It will wash your hair. It'll get rid of toe fungus anywhere on your body. Linda, any suggestions for treating varicose veins? I am 78 years old and I have them in both legs for several years. No pain, but especially in the right leg, it seems to be getting worse, more protruding. That's extremely difficult. Microcirculation to take off the load to help the venous return. Exercise is critical. Resistance training is critical with compression socks on. Do weight training. Eat a more carnivore rich diet. Get your blood sugars down. Disinflame with systemic enzymes. Do EDTA chelation IV to get the tiny, tiny, tiny little capillaries to help divert the heavy flow. And the enzymes will disinflame the vessels, and they can, over time, if you eat enough healthy protein and fat, they do shrink. Marilyn says, I'm so glad you do these wonderful presentations every Tuesday. Well, I'm glad you guys are here for these presentations, okay? And I look forward to them. I'm 77 years old, keeping extra weight off for several years now, thanks in great part to intermittent fasting and working out, hiking, weightlifting. Dairy isn't a problem, but I've heard that since cheese is fermented, the benefits can outweigh, I guess the rest of the statement would be losses. I am not a big fan of cheese. If it is, it's got to be raw, unpasteurized, non-homogenized. And I like dairy only once every 4 days, something like that. I like to rotate it in. So if you have a meat and vegetable day, if you have a chicken and vegetable day, then you have a fish and vegetable day, a pork and vegetable day, an omelet day, then on day 5 with cheese and maybe some spinach. And then you come back to your meat and vegetable day. So that's kind of how I work it. Linda says, what does alpha lipoic acid do? And do we need to take a supplement for that? Or do we eat to take in an adequate, what do we eat to take in an adequate amount on a daily basis? It works in the electron transport in the mitochondria engine of producing ATP energy and burning up sugars and helping to detox your body. So alpha lipoic acid is well known to help prevent amantadine mushroom poisoning and certain death from mushroom poisoning and liver failure. So it's a very powerful detox and electron transport chain cofactor. Now, where do you get it in your diet? Right off the top of my head, I can't think of that, Linda. But if you use the TLC metabolic formula, there's about 600 milligrams in there. And why? Because that's where the research shows it makes a benefit to the mitochondria. You can get it separate. We do have alpha lipoic acid, ALA, high quality researched, and I test it. Again, everything we have here, we test clinically on lab and stuff. So, but I can't think of what foods it is. I know it's achieved animals. If you eat the animal, heart, liver, it's rich in it, things like that. Hayden says, what would you recommend for burning hands and feet syndrome? That might be a B6 excess neuropathy from too much vitamin B6, water soluble. You can have that measured. It could be the peripheral neuropathy. It could be the tiny microvasculature in the capillaries that our hands are so exposed all the time. Or what do we eat to take in an adequate, no, wait a minute. Yeah, characterized by hands getting extremely cold and struggling to stay warm, like Raynaud syndrome. And then at night, they get very hot to the point of having to put them in cold water. Erythromyalgia, that's an autonomic dysfunction of the autonomic system to the nerves and blood vessels and veins. If you took that mRNA injection, that has messed up a lot of the endothelial lining and vasculature. Those injections since 2021 have produced a tremendous amount of POTS syndrome, postural orthostatic hypotension. And so you have to work on regaining this. I would do chelation. I would do a carnivore diet. I would take systemic enzymes. And I would see a good functional doctor about that. I would get my heavy metals done. I would get your B6 vitamin level looked at. So see a good functional doctor for that. And let's see, I have one more. Looks like we're getting another question. Carolyn says, Dr. Rita, do you have a recommendation on how to treat panic attacks once they start? Well, you know, there's that old adage of taking a bag and breathing into it. But I would read the Bible. That's what I do. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Panic attacks, you know, are usually a trigger of epinephrine, and it's a kind of self-inflaming. The more you think you're panicked, the more you get that fight or flight fear, which creates the psychological hypothalamic access to the adrenals that stimulates the epinephrine, that amplifies the heart rate, that increases the anxiety, that goes down the hypothalamic access to the adrenals and stimulates more epinephrine. So you see it's a cycle like that. So if there is no true threat or imminent issue, you have a healthy heart, you've seen the cardiologist, you've had a good internal medicine evaluation, you don't have blood sugar issues or the thyroid issues, hyperthyroid screen, thyroid toxin, toxic inflammatory thyroid. If all those are negative, then it's considered to be more of a psychological thing. And so whatever is reassuring to you, the knowledge that you're otherwise very healthy and strong, and exercise usually will reduce this, especially weight training and good walks. So that's the direction I would take it. I would use magnesium, amino acid chelated magnesium regularly. Often natural hormone replacement therapy supports it. A woman's estradiol is very calming and balance it with progesterone. So that's what I would say there. I would find a doctor that can help you with a good functional medicine approach like that. Plus getting cleared of the other things I mentioned, comorbidities that would cause panic episodes. Then we have here, Helene says, my twin sister living in South Africa has advanced rheumatoid arthritis. She is in severe pain daily. What is the functional way to treat it? I would appreciate any advice. I would have her go 100% carnivore. Get all grains, all dairy, everything, any plant food out of her diet totally. I would start it with a 24 to 48 hour water fast. This is what I tell all my rheumatoid patients, all my severe osteoarthritis patients. My own husband did this and totally turned around all his symptoms. So I would encourage you to take the water fast for a day or two, preferably 2 days. I don't know any comorbidities. If she has insulin dependent diabetes, you would have to see your doctor and clear that. Um, and then be a carnivore and do that for at least a month. You will notice the improvement within the first 24 to 48 hours. I would never touch dairy that's processed or homogenized, pasteurized. I would stay away from all plant foods at least for a month. And then if I had any, it would only be the cooked broccoli, asparagus, green bean, Brussels sprout, and asparagus, maybe spinach. Spinach has some oxalates in it, but butter them up and salt them. But a carnivore diet is the way to go. And it sounds like she should do that for months and then be reevaluated with her doctor and have her inflammatory markers measured in her blood and see how she does. Hormones help rheumatoid arthritis. Systemic enzymes, taking Vitalzyme or Vascuzyme. Systemic enzymes like Vascuzyme has, uh, uh, nanokinase, streptokinase in it. These systemic enzymes are anti-inflammatory on an empty stomach twice a day, even while you're fasting. That would be a good starter point. And then she's got to drink half her weight in ounces of water every single day and probably take a good multivitamin. Sally said, I have developed a large Baker's cyst on the back of my leg behind my knee, the size of a golf ball. Sometimes it causes me pain or discomfort. My GP doctor just said to take Advil, but I don't think that is a solution. No. I increased my dose of enzymes for fit inflammation. What are your thoughts? Well, yeah, I would use lots of enzymes, but there must be something irritating you there to create that inflammation of the bursa and the sac there. So a compression knee bandage, plenty of water to disinflame you, systemic enzymes. Again, the carnivore diet is the most disinflaming diet there is. So if you did a carnivore diet for a month or 2 or 3, you take enzymes 5 in the morning, 5 in the evening, kick it off also with a day or 2 water fast and see if you don't dramatically see improvement. Dorothy says, what can I do to alleviate soreness at night from hip surgery? I am at 4.5 months out of it now, and I'm still having trouble sleeping from the soreness. Well, water, half your weight as pounds as ounces, and systemic enzymes twice a day. Get all the food inflaming items out of your diet. And if you don't know what they are, do a carnivore diet for a month and then see a good functional doctor. Dawn says, do you think it's good money spent to do a $160 scan for stroke potential? Service does ultrasounds for carotid, abdominal, peripheral lower, and EKG for atrial fibrillation. No, you see your functional doctor and save your money. That's a money-making thing. Don't waste your money on that. Art, does endometriosis affect fertility? Yes. Or make pregnancy difficult? Yes. Or cause risk to pregnancy? Yes. So you would have to do all the anti-inflammatory things, carnivore diet, systemic enzymes, use plenty of water, exercise, use progesterone cyclically from day 15 through 25 of your menstrual cycle. That's how we begin with all the endometriosis patients here. Yasmin says, hi again, Dr. E. What are your thoughts on tetanus and tetanus vaccines? Well, unless you're scratching yourself on a wire fence around cows and pigs that their poop splatters on the fences, the only way you can get the toxoid is from their feces. So I don't see the point. That is, do we really need them? And if so, is there a way to receive tetanus only without the DAP part added to it? I don't think you need it. Joey says, is colloidal silver soap for daily shower safe? The answer is yes. Is Kava and L-theanine safe for winding down after a stressful day? Yes. I am buying adaptogen drinks to help with this. Is this something you recommend? Yes, we do. It also helps to stop the alcohol habit. That's very true, Joey. So keep up the good work. I'm very proud of you. Patsy says, my bottle of ivermectin says to take it with water. I recently read an article that said to only take it with food for it to be the most effective. Your thoughts? It doesn't matter. Just get it down your throat. We can nitpick over everything. Just be consistent so we have a reproducible pattern that is always getting done, and we can see how you're doing on it. Let's see. I am going to say any more here. Jenna says, LifeWave patches have helped many people with varicose veins disappear. Well, then I would get a hold of a LifeWave person, LifeWave, and then a capital X and the number 39. These are energy crystals that stick to your body, and your body heat helps that electromagnetic wave to work and stimulate the immune system. All right. So this is the end. If this is valuable, please like and subscribe and let us know. Leave a comment or a question, and we say, I'll see you next Tuesday at 6 p.m. God bless.